In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make $10,000 every single month. And no, you don't need any money to start up. You don't need some fancy degree or some experience. It doesn't matter how old you are, and it doesn't matter what country you're from, because the internet is essentially a level playing field. And look, if you're still not 100% sure that you can actually do it, and you're not 100% convinced yet, and you're still kind of skeptical, don't worry, because by the end of this video, it will all make perfect sense to you. And look, as a disclaimer, I also feel the need to also state that there is no pitch or course that's going to be sold to you by the end of this video. It is just all 100% free. And the reason why I'm making it is because I get asked all the time by people, Tyson, how do I actually go about making money online and hit that 10K a month milestone? And of course, this video right here is essentially going to have everything that I wish that I knew back when I was just starting out and I wanted to make money online. Because chances are you're at least a little bit just like me. See, when I was going through high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. My grades were not very good at all, and I was kind of just floating through life, doing whatever I could just to make some money. So my first job ever was actually in the military at 16 years old. I was doing part-time military while I was in high school. After I graduated high school, I took up full-time carpentry and also a part-time security job as well. So that's 3 jobs simultaneously, working 70 to 80 hours every single week just to make enough money to sometimes be able to pay my bills. My bills would be wiping me out every single month, even though I was working my fingers to the bone. And one day I said enough was enough. I can't keep living like this. I'm racking up all this credit card debt and there's no end in sight. So I started my journey of making money online, and I failed again and again and again. Business model after business model, trying something here, trying something there, trying 3 things at once, and none of it worked for years. Until eventually I found a business model that not only was viable, but I actually stuck with. And only 9 months later, I was making my first 10K a month. Fast forward 1 year after that, and I was making over $100,000 every month. And not only did I get to 50x my income, but I also get to work when I want, if I want, whenever I want, and I also get to work on whatever I want. And through the last few years of failing over and over again with different business models and eventually succeeding, I have learned a ton, not only in my own journey, but also from my mentors who are making tens of millions of dollars every year with their online businesses. And just as a fair warning, if you're skipping through this video or you can't actually focus until the very end, I hate to break it to you, but the chances of you making 10K a month or any money online for that matter is extremely slim. I mean, I'm literally giving away everything at the cost of nothing. And if you can't focus for that, then I'm sorry, but I don't know what you are going to be able to actually focus on. So without any further ado, let's get right into things, and I will show you exactly how to make $10,000 every single month online. Okay, everybody, where were we? So as you can see, this is the full guide to making $10,000 per month online fast. We're going to be covering business models, frameworks, and success principles that will put you on the fast track of making enough money to afford your financial, time, and location freedom. I don't know what that sound was. It sounded like chess.com, but anyways, as we were. So this video that you're watching right now is essentially going to be like my big famous free 4-hour course on copywriting. You probably haven't seen that yet, but essentially it is going to be just me, right, giving it to you raw. Pause. Okay, so I'm literally going to be showing you step by step how everything works. I also have my iPad here in case I want to sketch something up, but essentially this is just me giving it to you, and like no crazy edits. Also, disclaimer, there's not going to be any pitches or me trying to sell you a course by the end of this or anything crazy like that. So let's just hop right in. So first and foremost, we have a few things that you're going to want to do. All right, first and foremost, you want to bookmark this video by leaving a like and commenting your timestamp. This is going to be a long video. All right, it's not going to be some like 20-minute, 10-minute type of thing. It's going to take a sizable amount of time. So just in case you don't finish it all in one sitting, you're going to want to bookmark it, okay? Bookmark where you left off, and also you can find it again just by leaving a like and going into YouTube and going to your liked video so you can find it. Do your best to finish it in one sitting, but if you can't, hey, it is what it is. Next is to ask any and all questions in the comment section. So for these types of videos, I like to have the comment section essentially like a board, like a thread. right? A huge thread where we can just go to get value from, all right? And of course, you're going to want to check out the comments as well before, during, and after this video. There's no such thing as a dumb question, okay? There really isn't. Next is to have the discipline to watch until the end. People who never finish anything never achieve anything. Guys, I'm literally giving you everything at the cost of nothing in this video. So with that being said, you got to watch until the very end, okay? All resources, including this slideshow, will be available for free in a link in the description. Other links to social media and other stuff will also be included in the description. All the links are right there. And also, you're going to want to write this down and take notes, okay? Take notes, because you taking notes is the best way to actually learn and digest all the information that I'm saying. And then also, you're going to be able to go back and look at those notes at the end or at a later date. All right. Usually I would tell you that you're going to want to watch this at least 2 to 3 times to actually go back and make sure that you got everything. But if you're taking notes and really learning actively, then it's going to help you. Take this seriously and put effort into investing your time into learning efficiently. So if you just watch this video all the way through without taking notes, you're essentially you're just not being efficient. You're not getting as much value as you could be getting out of this video if you just watch passively, okay? So with all that being said, let's hop right into it, because there's a few things that are usually top of mind when people are on this topic, okay? The topic of making $10,000 a month. Like, is it possible / how likely really is it? Well, look, many have done it, including me, all right? So essentially, not just me, also tons of my students, also tons of people who aren't even related to me whatsoever, not friends or business partners or anything. Man, every time you go on YouTube or anytime you go on Instagram, it's almost like you see a new dude out here who's making tons of money. All right, now, sure, some of those guys are posers, but a lot of them really are out here making it. Next, it doesn't come down to chance. It comes down to you, okay? So yes, there is chance, and chance is a contributing factor, but you are the deciding factor. A contributing factor is like if it's raining outside. If I have said that I'm going to go on a jog tomorrow outside and it's raining, raining isn't a deciding factor. It's a contributing factor. It's going to make me less likely to go, but I'm going to still go anyways, okay? A deciding factor is usually something like, well, I broke both of my legs. They are literally broken. And even then, I mean, technically, it's not really a deciding factor. So you got to understand and be able to, tell the difference between contributing factors and deciding factors. So essentially, you are the biggest deciding factor. And there are going to be many contributing factors, but understand that it really does come down to you. And we're going to talk about that more later on. Next is that there's more than enough for everyone who deserves it. There's no such thing as oversaturation. There's no such thing as, oh, well, I see too many people out here making money, too many people out here getting success, too many people out here achieving abundance, and there's just not enough left for me, right? Or thinking that someone else winning is taking food out of your mouth. That is one of the most toxic and scarcity mindset behaviors that you could ever indulge. Understand that success is more like a candle flame. You lighting someone else's flame doesn't take away from yours, and vice versa. So when people say, oh, well, Tyson's out here teaching people how to make money, and I mean, one of the many stupid hater comments that I get, Tyson's out here teaching people how to make money. He wouldn't actually be teaching people how to make money, because then he'd be creating more competition for himself. Man, not once has me teaching someone else how to make tons of money ever come back around to hurt me or haunt me. If anything, it always helps me. And that's the thing, is that you lifting up other people and being uplifting is going to help you in the long run. People know that I've helped make people tons of money. That only looks good on me. It never hurts me. And the same will go for you. So here's more in depth of what we're going to cover. Fundamentals and core principles, changing your mental model, picking the best business models, and also building out your action plan. Okay, that's essentially what we're going to be going over here. So a little bit about me, since you and I have not formally met before, or we probably have not formally met before. My name is Tyson, and I created this channel a little bit over a year ago. As you can see, it's a little bit over 100 subs at the time of recording this video, and it has completely blown up. The YouTube has completely blown up. The communities, the free communities that I run, completely blown up. And I'm someone who is just a simple carpenter slash construction worker slash dude just in the army. I had those 3 jobs at the same time, mind you, before I started doing online business. And the reason why I reiterate that is because I really need people to understand that I had no advantages, right? People always want to count their disadvantages and discount their advantages. But I really, I wasn't working in business. I wasn't working in sales. I wasn't working in tech. I wasn't working in marketing. I was literally working with my hands, carrying around lumber, building houses. I was cleaning my weapons, taking them apart and putting them back together with a blindfold on. I was doing these things and I was building skills, but they were non-transferable skills whatsoever. I had less than 0 experience. There was nothing special essentially about me, but I was still able to make it. 9 months later, after starting my copywriting, I started hitting 10K months. And then around a year after that, I started hitting 100K months. And things are looking up in the future, right? And that was just overall around 2 years after starting. And here we are. So, and it can happen for you. It can happen for anybody. And while that is, yes, a good example, man, there are people who are even crazier examples than I am. So that's essentially all the time that I want to spend talking about me. It's not that important. You'll probably learn a little bit more about me as we go on. But so now we're going to get into fundamental core principles and understand that core principles are usually the unsexy stuff, but understand that the advanced people are only advanced because they never missed out on this. A lot of the times beginners, what they do is they skip these types of steps. And by skipping those steps and going for the things that are more advanced, they really, really hurt their progress. So I'll give it to you like this. The stuff that is advanced is going to take you from 80% to 90% of whatever your goal is or whatever you're trying to do or whatever your skill level you're trying to build, 80% to 90%. Intermediate might take you from 60% to 70%. The basics and the core fundamentals are going to take you from that 0% to 60%. So this is the stuff that you cannot miss out on. This is the stuff that advanced and intermediates never miss. The first thing that I want to cover here is the difference between skepticism and denial and why what you believe is what matters most. Okay. So I'll give it to you like this. Okay. Skepticism versus denial. A lot of people say, oh, well, they just have a hard time believing things, right? They say, oh, I'm skeptical. But other people, they say they're skeptical, but really they're just in denial. The difference between two is skepticism is I believe what I believe, but I'm opening to changing my belief if proof is there, right? Denial is I believe what I believe and nothing that you show me can convince me otherwise. You have to take inventory on your own mind and really see which one you are. Now, hear me out, okay? Skepticism is a good emotion, but just like anything good, too much of it can be bad, which is where it leads to denial. So I'm not asking you to believe anything in this video whatsoever. In fact, go ahead and fact check anything if you'd like. All I'm suggesting to you is that you keep an open mind, because an open mind is one that's ready to learn. Now, I actually want to go through and kind of go a little bit harder on the saturation fallacy, right? Because this is one of the biggest reasons why most people don't start. Okay, because I know for a fact you've seen other people winning online. You've seen other people making money. You've seen other people becoming successful, but there's still something that's stopping you. The biggest thing that stops people is they don't think that they can do it, and they think that too many other people are doing it. They think that if they are going to do it, and these problems are also intertwined, they think that they can't do it. And the only way that they can do it is by getting into something that has never been done before, or it's just oversaturated so that they can't do it. Okay. So here's essentially a graph that represents most people. So the majority of people, talking like probably 60%, never, ever, ever try. They never try to make money online. They never try to break the mold. They never try to be anything other than whatever the path is laid out for them. In other words, as the Gen Zs would call it, complete NPCs. The next around 20%, I forget what I said. My percentages are not going to add up whatsoever. The next small percentage is the people who want to try. These people, they've never tried and they've never even thought about trying. You say to them, why don't you build an online business and make a bunch of money? They'd be like, what? What does that even mean? That sounds like a scam. I don't want to do that. The other people, they want to try. So they see other people out here doing it. They think, maybe I could do that. I wish I could do that, but they don't actually do anything. And then the next group of people try for 3 months, right? And when I say try, I use that word very lightly because a lot of the times when people say, oh, I tried this for 3 months, what they really mean is they dabbled in it. They watched a couple videos, maybe, did a little bit of something, a little bit of practice. They tried to open up a store or something, but then they just, whatever, tried for 3 months, then they quit. And then the next really, really small percentage of people, they try, they win a little bit, but they quit. And again, I use the word win very, very marginally because a win could be just like something extremely small that they count as a win, but the thing is that it still doesn't propel them forward. And then this small, tiny, tiny sliver at the very bottom of people actually try and make it. The statistic is that 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, but realistically, you might as well just reword it into 90% of people fail within the first 5 years, because that is generally it. Again, it comes down to the people. Me personally, I don't care what it is. You put me in any business model, any situation, especially with the knowledge that I have now, I know that I would be able to succeed because I have all the skills necessary. All of the skills necessary, and that is essentially what it comes down to. Skills are something that you can build by yourself and nobody can take from you. Next, of course, is the size of the pie fallacy. This is from a book from $100 million business owner Alex Hormozi. And this simple graphic perfectly depicts essentially a fallacy that a lot of people have about saturation. And that is that if you own 100% of the market and it's just you, then you're going to be happy. If it's you plus one competitor, that's worse. And if it's you plus 3 competitors, it's even worse than that. So here's the example that I give is that if Android went out of business tomorrow, Apple would sell way more phones, and Apple and Android are competing in the market. But realistically, you're not Apple and you're not Android. If you count up all the people who are making over $10,000 a month, it is an incredible amount of people, an extreme amount of people. Let's say that it's 100 million people that are making over 10K a month. Does it take away from all those people if one person makes 10K a month? And there's now 100 million and one people making 10K a month. No, of course not. It's not going to affect anybody. So again, your success does not limit other people's success and vice versa. There's room for everybody at the top who deserves it. So actually, you know what I'm going to do right now? Before we get into business vehicles, I'm actually going to open up my Blackboard of Justice because I thought of something that I certainly want to share with you guys here. And it's this, okay? I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the philosophy that I'm actually giving you guys in this video and why it's going to help you. Okay, so here's the diagram that perfectly encapsulates what I want to show you guys. As you can see, right here is you, and as you can see, right here is me and all of my huge muscles. And then this, no, I'm not gonna put that. So this is essentially me and you. And right here, as you can see, you have a backpack on you. This backpack is essentially all of your false and limiting beliefs. All right. All of the false and limiting beliefs and preconceived notions that you probably have, that you've learned about money, that you've learned about business and success and all the rest. Okay. So what we're going to do here today and what we're doing here is essentially minus and plus. You take away things that are holding you back and you add some things that are going to propel you to the top, which is your goal at 10K per month. And of course, this right here is the rope of me helping you get up, okay? So essentially, we're going to be preparing you for your journey. We're going to be setting you off on the right foot. Rather than me just showing you what to do, but you still having all these minuses and lacking all of these pluses that are going to help make the journey and path much more efficient. So one of the biggest minuses that a lot of people hold in their head, one of the fallacies that are holding them back, is that the business vehicle is the way. Right? The business vehicle is what makes people successful. Now, again, this is one of those things that is on a spectrum, right? Business vehicles are highly important, but business vehicles aren't going to make you rich, okay? So I'll put it right here, all right? As you can see, there's a vehicle here, and you are inside, and you are the driver. And over here, up here, is your goal, all right? But the problem is, let's say you pick a vehicle, right? But you don't know where you're going. You're going to go the wrong way. Or you could go this wrong way. I mean, there's so many wrong ways you could go. You could also go a wrong way and still end up at your goal, but you want to take the fastest possible path there. Not to mention, You probably suck at driving, especially if this is your first time. A picture like a 16-year-old girl who just got her license. Like that's essentially what you drive like. You're hitting curbs and saying oopsie, okay? And you don't want to be that, all right? So your business vehicle is important. I don't want you to go out there and start a flip phone business in 2024 because obviously it's going to be a bad idea because nobody uses flip phones anymore, all right? But what you should do is start, one of the viable online businesses, which we're going to get into in a moment, right? We're going to get into. So business model matters. It really does. But business model isn't the thing that's going to take you to success, okay? There are, like I said, multiple ones. Is there a best one? Not necessarily a best one for everyone. There are some really good ones and some really popular ones that aren't so good, which again, we'll get through a little bit later. But I really need you guys to understand that the business model is not going to make you rich. Okay? People always ask, well, which one's the easiest? Which one's the easiest? Which one can I make money with the fastest? All right? Now, sure, these points are somewhat important, but again, they're just not everything. People put too much stress on what they do, all right? Next is how to always be lucky in business. And this one's huge, all right? Right here, I have a graph. And essentially this graph is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. You can do more research on it after this video if you'd like. But as you can see at the top, we have naive optimism. At the bottom, we have naive pessimism. In the middle, we have increased competence. And at the top, we have informed optimism. So essentially how this works is that most people who start, they have this naive optimism about them, meaning they are overly optimistic about how easy it's going to be, how profitable it's going to be, and everything like that. Understand right now, and I'm telling you, and this might turn some people away, but I have to tell it to you, and I'm probably the only person ever online to ever say this because everyone wants to sell you something. It's going to be difficult. You're going to want to quit. It's going to be frustrating. You're going to be wondering why you even started this. And it's not like most people think that this is an indicator that you're going the wrong way, when in reality, it's the opposite. When you start to feel that way, it is an indicator that you're moving in the right direction. It reminds me of a book by, I think it's Ryan Holiday, a Stoic writer. And it's called The Obstacle is the Way. And it perfectly encapsulates the feeling that I'm describing here. So you're going to come in, you're going to be naively optimistic, and then you're going to be naively pessimistic. So like I said, you're going to get hit with reality very hard, very quickly. You're going to be like, wow, this is not nearly as easy as I thought it would be. There's all these issues. There's all these complications that I didn't see. I don't know if this is worth it. I don't know if I can ever make it. And usually people stop right here at the bottom. And then what happens is they try a different business model. Again, these 2 points are linked, right? The vehicle and down here, people switch from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle because they think the vehicle is the way. And that is the worst possible thing that you could ever do. I would rather you stick with a bad vehicle or just all right vehicle than switching from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle trying to find the best one. Because honestly, and this is another point that you should probably write down, the best business vehicle, the best business model is the one that you stick with for 5 years. If I gave you 5 years of experience, of genuine experience and skill in any business model possible, it would be hard for you to suck at it. It would be hard for you to not be successful at it. Like my business skill is marketing and copywriting. I haven't even been doing it for 2 years and we're already at this level. 2 years. I think it's actually just past 2 years in total. So 5 years. The best one is the one that you're 5 years into. And then you start to increase your competence. And this is where things start to turn around, right? Now you know how difficult it actually is, but you also haven't quit. You stick with this. Now, again, I'm telling you that most people go to naive optimism. They go to naive pessimism. They start a new business model and they just go back to the top again. It's literally like, imagine this little dot here just loops around and starts at the beginning. It's like literally a merry-go-round of failure. It's like, oh, I'm super optimistic. Oh, this is harder than I thought. I'm super optimistic about this new thing. Oh, it's harder than I thought. The only way you ever get to the increase of this curve is when you stick with something. So increased competence. That's when you've actually identified where the hard points are and you don't run away from them. You actually learn how to move past them. And then informed optimism. Now you're optimistic just like you used to be, but you're more informed about it. You actually have the data, you actually have the knowledge, you actually have the skill. Okay. And this is essentially where you want to end up. And this is how most people in business are lucky. Now, I don't know if I talk about it somewhere else in this presentation, so I'll just talk about it right now. Let's talk about luck for a moment, because all wealthy people got lucky. It's true. Some more than others, but not how most people think, and probably not how you think. So a lot of people have luck completely turned on its head in whatever. Okay. So in business or just in life, people call luck a lot of things. So luck can be an acronym for laboring under correct knowledge. Luck can also just mean when opportunity meets preparation, right? So when you prepared for something for so long and then you get the opportunity, and people call that luck. But here's what I would call luck, right? And here's what luck actually is. There's two types of luck. There's dumb luck and there's also engineered luck, okay? So dumb luck is when you are sitting on a park bench and some random billionaire just spawns out of nowhere. He looks at you and he says, that looks like a great guy to just give $100,000 to. And then he walks over to you, he gives you $100,000, and then he leaves. And yes, that sounds ridiculous, and that's because dumb luck pretty much never happens. You don't ever want to depend on dumb luck. You want to wait for dumb luck to happen. Dumb luck is just as the name suggests, it's dumb. But then you have engineered luck. Engineered luck is when you are outreaching to businesses to be their copywriter, for example, or be their marketer, or do a service for them, or run ads for them, or whatever your service delivery is. Let's say you hit up a business and they not only hire you, but they hire you for more than what you're asking, and they turn out to be an amazingly great client. Now, sure, you got lucky by getting that client, but also the luck would have never happened without all the previous steps that you'd put in. You learned how to do your service delivery, you were outreaching to a bunch of businesses, et cetera, et cetera. And most people in business, they have a lot of engineered luck because they understand that the harder they work, the luckier they get. But there's also building your self business. Oh, this one's insane. The quote that I want to share with you, not sure where it's from. The business works on you more than you work on the business. You can always have more than what you have because you can always be more than what you are. Now, all of that to say that, again, it really does come down to you. So just for a little bit of background and context, I let you guys know that I had these 3 jobs, right? I was working full time. I was working like crazy, but I was still able to make it. That was not something that was easy, but I had to drastically change myself from where I was. So me personally, I was in a stage of just going out and partying every weekend. I was, in my early 20s. I needed to get it out of my system. I just came out of a relationship. I needed to get my confidence back. So that's what I was doing. I was just out there partying in the world, having fun. That was essentially my whole life. And then essentially there was this turning point in my life where, my my income was just getting absolutely wrecked every single month by my bills. And I was making decent money. I mean, like $20-something an hour with my carpentry job, very cheap, like almost close to minimum wage with my security job, but it was easy. And then the military job, it was still part-time, right? I was in the reserve, so it was part-time. So I was getting paid decently, right? If you told me how much I would be getting paid when I was like 17, 16, I would think that's a lot of money, but it didn't matter. Okay. Cause this was like peak pandemic. Inflation was going through the roof. Everything costed a whole bunch of money. And I felt like I was drowning. So I knew that I had to do something. So I started my copywriting journey. And of course, it started off rocky. I started off half committed, but then I got fully committed. And that meant changing huge things about me. I didn't go out anymore to parties or anything like that. I didn't speak to the same people anymore. I cut off all of the people essentially that I was talking to, most of them temporarily, but I still had to cut them off for a season. And I started waking up earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier every single morning. I was like, okay, I'll actually wake up an hour earlier. That way I can work on my business before I go to work. I can work on my freedom before I actually go in and clock in to my first job, right? So I'd wake up at like 6 or 5, right? So I could do some outreach, do some stuff. Then I was like, you know what? I actually really like that. Let me work up 2 hours early. Then it turned into 3 hours, and it turned into here's my actual schedule. Now I'm not saying you need to do this, but I'm just saying this to really highlight the point of you need to become a completely different person. So every morning, even weekends, especially weekends, I'd wake up at 2 a.m. do as much business work as I could. And then I would go to work, right? My actual jobs. I'll come back from work and arrive home at around 6 p.m., go straight to bed and do it all over again. That's right. I would come home and go straight to bed after work, wake up early as hell in the morning, do all of my work that I could for copywriting, and then I would go to my job, right? And you can imagine the type of discipline that takes and the type of person that actually turned me into. That turned me into an extremely disciplined person. I was reading books. I was scheduling my time. I was tracking my time. I was journaling. I was doing meditation. I was doing essentially every single good habit really that I could in order to make a difference in my life. And essentially that is where you want to get to. You want to make yourself better every single day because that will reflect in your business. One more point that I want to give before I move on is that nobody really has business problems. People think that they have business problems, but they don't. They have personal problems that manifest themselves in their business. So if you're someone who's just not that great with time, for example, like you go to sleep a little bit late, you wake up a little bit late, you're usually late for things, you don't meet deadlines, that's going to show up in your business. That's going to give you a bad reputation. And that's going to make it harder for you to service your clients or make money in general. You're always going to be late for things. You're always going to be behind. But that's a personal issue with your discipline, not a business issue. Your business issue, it'll look like, man, why am I not getting referral clients? Or why am I not able to get results from my clients? This is really hard. The reason isn't because it's hard. The reason is because you are not good at that specific thing or specific task. So by you improving yourself, you're going to greatly improve your businesses and your chances of succeeding. The main wealth equation. Now I want to give you guys the main wealth equation that is essentially going to put it all into perspective for you. So as you can see, the main wealth equation, okay, I'm going to put this big on the screen so you can see, is force times feedback plus time equals chance, equals percent chance. So there's lots of things to break down here. Force. What is force? Now, force is amazing. I love the word force. Force is just an amazing word because I could use the word action or the word work, but the word force implies that there's friction, that there's also something that's working against you, right? If I say I opened a door, that means that I just turn the handle and open it. If I say I forced a door open, it means that something was locked or something was trying to keep me from going inside that door. Extremely important because there is going to be friction. There are going to be opposing factors to what you are trying to do, but you have to go through them anyway. That's why I love the word force. Feedback. Feedback is the number one, by far, the number one best way to learn because exposure to knowledge is not learning whatsoever. People think that I read books, I watched a video, I listened to some dude, I watched a podcast, I was learning. Okay, that's a type of learning, that's a form of learning, but the best possible learning that you can do is feedback, okay? This can be feedback from your mentors or coaches, feedback from people who have already done it before you, or it can also be feedback from the marketplace. Feedback from the marketplace is raw, it's quick, and it's true. That's the best part about feedback from the marketplace. Now, the kicker here is that feedback from the marketplace is the most valuable, but just like most things that are the most valuable, they require the highest cost. And the cost when getting feedback from the marketplace is your ego, your self-esteem. You're going to get rejected, right? You can't put something out into the market every single time and have people love it. You have to have negative feedback in order to know how to improve. Now, again, people don't like rejection, right? Especially nowadays where you don't ever really have to get rejected. You don't even have to talk to girls anymore. You can just do a whole bunch of swiping on your phone. You don't ever really have to get rejected. You don't ever have to approach people. But let me tell you that making friends with rejection is going to completely change your life, not only in business, but literally everywhere, right? I urge you guys to do some research on something called rejection therapy. It was really quite interesting, and I want to tell you guys about it and how you can maybe even use it today in order to improve your life. There was this guy, and he wrote a blog about rejection therapy. It was like 100 days of rejection. And essentially what he did is he went out into just everyday life, and he would ask questions and do things to just get him rejected on a daily basis. And eventually, after doing that for so long, it will callous your minds, improve to your subconscious that getting rejected is not going to kill you. Because rejection is just like fear. It's a mile wide, but it's an inch deep. The only thing to fear is fear itself. Because fear is what keeps you from taking action and doing the thing that gets you the results. He'll go out and he did a ton of stuff. I saw some crazy ones, like he sat in the passenger seat of a police car, but he also did some ones that were way more tame. Like he went to go get a coffee, and he was like, by the way, can I get this for free? Or he would go to the Walmart worker, and he was like, hey, can I go see what's in the back? You know, just some of it was small stuff, right? But he worked his way up to the crazy stuff. But I'm literally saying that you should do the exact same thing and actually do it, because wow, it puts things into perspective and it changes your life. So that was force, and that's feedback, and now you understand what they are. Now you need to understand how they work together, right? Because as you can see, these are multiplicable of each other instead of just additional, like time, for example. These multiply by each other. The reason why is because this is a positive feedback loop. The longer you'll be in business, the more you'll start to learn about positive feedback loops, but it's essentially when the effect of one thing, the side effects of one thing, actually feed in to another, right? So I'll tell this really, really short, but it's a little bit complex because it has to do with with weapons. So me personally, I just went and did I got my firearms license, right? And I was also in the Army. So I shot a lot of guns in my time. And I find guns really fascinating, especially because they use this one principle in a really, really cool way, right? So most rifles, or a lot of rifles, are bolt action, meaning you have to actually use your hand yourself in order to rechamber a round. But some are actually gas powered, meaning that once you fire a round, the gas and the pressure from that round is used to already do that for you, to pull that bolt back for you. And I just find that really fascinating. I found that really fascinating, and that's part of the reason why I'm fascinated by a lot of guns, is because they use this principle, and that is my favorite example. It takes a little bit knowing of weapons to kind of understand what I'm saying. If you know anything about weapons, you understand what I'm saying. If not, hopefully it still makes sense. But this feedback loop is essentially what is able to unlock you exponential growth in your journey. Exponential growth. Whereas linear growth is like this, exponential growth is like a curve, and then it goes just ballistic up at the top. This goes crazy. Because the more force you take, the better feedback you get, and the more feedback you get, the better force you can take. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Next is to add time. Now look, time is something that, again, is a little bit complicated, because I want to show you guys how to get to this goal as fast as possible. I want to help you guys speed run there. Speed run. But time is essential. Time is an essential ingredient. You need some time, right? You can't do it overnight. You usually can't do it in a week. It's going to take some time. But understand this, right? I want to help you do it in the fastest amount of time possible, but time is a double-edged sword, okay? You should want to do it as fast as possible, but understand with more time means more of a chance of success, okay? Which is why the end ends in percent chance. Now, I said this previously, but if you seriously work hard on something, and I mean not like, half-assed, if you use extreme force and implement all the feedback that you get for 5 years, it is virtually, okay, not literally, but virtually impossible that you can't be making at least 10 grand a month. Virtually impossible. Your actions have to match your ambitions. And when they do, man, it really shouldn't take longer than a couple of years. It really shouldn't, right? Now, if you get these completely right, and you add time, the reason why it's chance is because, let's say, for example, it's 5 months, right? You have a pretty decent chance of getting to 10K a month in 5 months, right? Not a good chance, not a great chance, not a bad chance, not impossible. People have done it. People have done it quicker, but chance does play a factor. But the way to phase out chance and make chance or dumb luck, right, take that more out of the equation, is just add more time. Add more time and more time and more time. Like I said, 5 years is basically impossible. 10 years is like basically impossible. 15 years, I mean, man, if you literally put your head down and implement this into a viable online business strategy, like that is as close to impossible to fail as you can really get, right? But that's the thing, is that it really does come down to percent chance. You can do all the things right? But sometimes you just need a little bit more time in the equation. It's essentially like a lottery ticket, right? Think of a lottery ticket. You can either increase your odds, right? So go from 1 in a million to 1 in 1,000 but you could also increase the number of tickets that you buy, right? So eventually you are going to hit the odds and you are going to make it. So once you understand that, that really gives you the best insight into where you can go. Next, I want to talk to you guys about building leverage to become unreasonably rich. Unreasonably rich. You ever wonder how some dudes, look, here's the thing, right? There's a lot of controversy around this point that I'm about to give you, but the facts are the facts. It just is what it is. There is no arguing with facts. So I'll give it to you here like this. There are lots of people who are business owners. There are lots of restaurant store owners who don't know how to fry an egg. Like they don't know how to cook whatsoever. And that just goes to show that owning things and owning systems and processes and leverage is where you just become unreasonably rich. And I'll give you some examples as we go on. But leverage is essentially getting more for what you put in. So I'll put it to you this way. Let's say you can make $200 in 8 hours, okay? If you wanted to make $400, you could work for 16 hours. That's not building your leverage. That's just putting in more time, okay? But let's say you take 8 hours to make $400. Now you doubled your leverage. You didn't add more time. You didn't add more effort. You didn't add more work. You just got more for the exact same that you put in. That leverage is what you want. What can you leverage? You can leverage skills. You can leverage an audience. You can leverage other people's audience. You can use any of other people's leverage. You can leverage systems. You can leverage softwares. You can leverage tools. I mean, there's lots of things that you can leverage, right? I could keep listing. But essentially, with these types of leverages, this is why you're able to make an unreasonable amount of money. So I'll give you one thing, for example. The one thing that I know the best, copywriting. So with copywriting, right? You are starting off using tons of leverage, but you're not using your own leverage. You're using other people's leverage. If you wanted to be a YouTuber or a social media marketing influencer or a content creator, you have to build an audience. You have to build your own leverage, and building leverage takes time. So you have to build your own leverage, and with most things, you have to build your own leverage, just period, right? But with copywriting, you can use other people's leverage, and there's two really, really good parts about it. So you're using other people's audiences, products, brand, marketing messages that they already have up, and you're leveraging, again, your skills. You're leveraging your skills into marketing materials that are able to make them a lot of money. And by you making them a lot of money, they're going to give you some money as well. So you make them tens of thousands or whatever, and you get to take home a couple of $1,000s from each and every client. Because you're able to write the copy for them quickly, you don't need to put in a lot of time. This is why I was able to triple, quadruple my income with copywriting when I was working and doing backbreaking work all day, every day. Yet I was able to multiply my income because I was working with more leverage. Absolutely huge. Another good part about copywriting and some business models in general is that you can learn while you earn. So you might be not really that good at copy or writing or marketing or whatever, but you can still make good money with it when you're just starting out because you can learn as you go. You really can. The business owner can, give you some pointers. You can get out there and write the copy, and then if it's not good, you can reiterate it and change it. You don't have to be the best at just starting out. People ask me all the time, Tyson, because I'm a coach, Tyson, how good do I need to be to actually get clients? My genuine answer is that you should outreach and try to get clients first week. Why not? Sure, you might not get any, but you're going to get that experience of learning how to do outreach. Just like kind of how I set up here. It builds you. It builds your skills. And that's leverage, right? All it takes for you to make as much money as you want, it doesn't matter, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $1 million a month, at any point, is just more leverage. Just getting more for the same amount that you put in by, like I said, all those different types of ways to grow leverage. But now I want to talk about changing your mental model. Man, what is going on, everybody? It is your boy Tyson 4D. I am back. I am black. I am Ready to attack. Let's hop right back into things. Changing your mental model. All right, let's start. Mindset is boring and overused. Here's the facts. I've seen so many mindset courses and mindset things and motivational speeches and mindset this and mindset that, and usually it's all the same. It's all the same things. People telling you need discipline, people telling you need to improve your habits, and so on and so forth, right? But in the next little bit, I'm going to show you practical things that you can do today, right now, to change the course of your life forever. All right? Now, sure, that sounds a little bit hyperbolic, but I assure you, honestly, it's an understatement. And you're going to understand exactly how it's an understatement after we actually get into it. So, self-education. Broke people finish up work and they go home, and what they do is they self-medicate. Here's the thing. The goal is for you to make a life that you don't need a vacation from. I believe it was Big Sean who, in a rap song, said, "Forget a vacation. I feel better at work." And I feel that. I felt that when he said that. And it's really true. A lot of the times, what people call fun or having fun or letting loose or whatever is literally escapism. It's escapism. It's you medicating yourself and essentially coping with how your life is not what you want it to be. Going out and drinking, watching TV, endlessly scrolling, doom scrolling your phone, just trying to find some semblance of dopamine or happiness or pleasure in your life. But winners go home and self-educate. If you're watching this right now, chances are you either have a 9 to 5 or you're going to school. After the 9 to 5 comes the 5 to 9, is what you do with the rest of your day. Okay, we're going to talk more about that as we go on. Next is building focus, and this one is gigantic. Focus is a multiplier. It really is a power multiplier. Think of when you use a magnifying glass to create heat, to create fire. A magnifying glass, essentially what it does is it brings all of the sun's sunlight and heat, and it concentrates it all on one extremely small point. And this is how it's able to produce fire. If you were, stranded on an island or something, you use a magnifying glass to create fire. Whereas what most people's focus looks like is, instead of a magnifying glass, it's literally just a window, right? It takes all that energy and it just disperses it evenly so that everything that they do, everything they touch, every aspect of their life is just painfully average. That's what most people do because they have no focus. And focus is something you build over time. For example, if you ever try to sit down and work at something or work at anything, if you're not used to focusing, like I wasn't at one point, it's going to be extremely difficult. Like the problem that most people have is that they think that only what they want to matter matters. Realistically, it all matters. Everything matters. Even the things that you think that don't matter, they very, very much matter. I'll give you an example. I know, right, and I knew when I was building my business that if I cut off all the sources of dopamine and cheap pleasure that I could, cut them all off completely, that I would find more pleasure and dopamine in building my business and finding progress. And I took it to the extremes. I'm talking about the obvious ones: no TV, no adult websites, not even any scrolling Instagram, because scrolling Instagram is essentially soft-core adult websites. It's basically like all I look at on my Instagram is cars and motorcycles and maybe some memes or something every once in a while. But I'll be going through my Instagram or going through my Explore page, and I'm just seeing like literally just stuff that's haram. I'll just put it like that. Just completely haram stuff. I've never even downloaded an Ice Spice song. Why am I seeing her all over my Explore page and stuff? It's just weird. It's literally just strange. And when you start to realize that, you start to notice that all of these distractions are literally just spoon-fed to you. They want you to be distracted. I'm no conspiracy theorist, right? I'm not talking about the Matrix, but it's just true. Like Meta, for example, their job is to literally steal as much time and attention as they can from you. And you have to fight back. You have to fight to keep your time and attention, because your time and your attention and your focus is literally currency. It is literally currency. But I took it so far to the extreme where I literally stopped seasoning my food. Usually I'd have some hot sauce. I put some salt and pepper on there on my eggs or something. I literally got rid of every little source of dopamine I possibly could. I went plain chicken and rice, because I was like, you know what? The less dopamine that I experience everywhere else in my life, the more I'm going to experience it more when I'm going and working on my goals. And that's exactly what happened. Everything matters, not just the things that you want to matters. When you're on a diet, you might think to yourself, one cookie wouldn't hurt, one burger wouldn't hurt, one small order of fries isn't going to kill me. It's not going to make me fat. And that's right. Maybe it might not matter in the grand scheme of things. But it does matter, because you're going to say it doesn't matter this time. Tomorrow, you're going to say it doesn't matter. The next day, you're going to say it doesn't matter. And all of a sudden, you're out here on a strict KFC and McDonald's diet. And then you're talking about excuses like, oh, well, man, them jelly donuts was just taking advantage of me. Come on now, bro. You can have results or you can have excuses, never both. That's my long-winded way of explaining focus and how important it is to actually achieving your goals. Eliminating distractions, eliminating excess. A lot of success really isn't about adding. It's really about subtracting. If you're able to subtract as much garbage as you can, that is the big one right there. But how do we actually build a discipline? So there's this one concept that I want to share with you guys, which is going to be big. And yes, it's right here. So these two kind of go together, right? So first and foremost, we have to talk about subconscious and conscious. Subconscious and conscious. And when you realize that 90% of what you do, 90% of what you think, 90% of everything is completely subconscious, you can figure out how to program your subconscious into doing what your conscience wants to do. This is my beautiful illustration here. As you can see, subconscious is like basically all of it. And yes, your brain goes all the way down to your lips. I'm just noticing that right now, but whatever. You get the point. It's a diagram to show you. A lot of the times, if you're just sitting there, you'll reach for your phone out of pure habit. You didn't think to yourself, I'm going to go on my phone and I'm going to look at this. You just open up your phone and then you see if just new dopamine spawns somewhere. You open up your Instagram, you open up your Snapchat, you open up your YouTube, you open up your Reddit, you open up your whatever. You just go to different apps. And it's just a cycle of different apps after different apps after different apps after different apps. And then once you're done the whole cycle, you go back to the first one again to see if anything new spawned there. Or let's say when you're walking, for example, you're not consciously going, okay, left heel, toe, and then I'm going to swing over to my right heel and toe. I'm going to walk like this and walk like this. Whenever you walk in a room, you don't think, okay, where's light switch? Which one is on and off? Which position is on and off? You just do it. It's subconscious. It's automatic. And that is what we are trying to program our brains to do. And there are certain ways to do that, which I'm going to share with you right now. It's about systematizing success. As you can see, predetermined is always greater than choice. Nobody is immune to temptation. It doesn't matter how loyal your girl is, right? She could be married to you. She loves you. She's head over heels for you. But if she says she's going on a girls' trip to Miami, you're not going to like it that much. I mean, sure, you could let her. It's probably not going to be a big deal. She loves you. And you know for a fact that she probably would not do anything. But we all know that nobody is completely immune to temptation. Even if there's a 0.0000001% chance, we don't want to take that chance. And it's the same with us. We can use that to our advantage because nobody is immune to whatever. You might think, oh, well, I would never do drugs. That's exactly what people who do drugs said 2, 3, 5 years ago. It just kind of happens like that. So the best way to do it is to just make it predetermined. It's really hard for most people to wake up consistently on time, right? It just is. It's something that's literally very difficult. And I'm very experienced with with everything to do with sleep because I was in the military, as I said before. And man, sleep is a scarce resource in the military. It was so bad that I would literally ask to go to the bathroom and just pray that I could get a 10-minute nap in the bathroom. That's how badly I actually wanted to sleep. Literally. Sometimes we'd be out in the field doing training and we'd sleep in cycles. And I swear, I'd have an hour to sleep. It felt like I blinked. It felt like I blinked and they were trying to get me up. And that feeling, everybody knows that feeling of you being extremely exhausted and your alarm clock going off and it's time to get up and you just really don't want to get up, but you know that you have to. That feeling is honestly one of the worst feelings that there is. You got 3 hours of sleep and you could do a quick 10 to 12 hours easily. At that point and moment, you're essentially not even you. It's like that commercial, you're not you when you're hungry. I forgot what that is, some sort of chocolate bar, but it's the same. You're not you when you're feeling like that. So the best way is to make it predetermined rather than giving yourself a choice. So what most people do is they set up an alarm on their phone right next to their bed and have a snooze button enabled. I do the opposite. No snooze button enabled. My phone is blaring loud, the most annoying alarm clock that I can have. It's on the other side of the room so that I can't touch it. And I also have smart lights in my room. So when the alarm goes off, the smart lights turn on, really bright white light. I don't have a choice now. I have to get up, right? Those are not conditions that even I can sleep under. And that's just really what it comes down to, is giving yourself predetermined advantages rather than just giving yourself a choice every time. Because the more choices you take, something called decision fatigue happens. If you do the right choice over and over and over and over and over again, right, then it's not going to be as bad. Then it's easier to pick the right choice. But when you're just starting out and you're just like making these choices and you keep coming to these crossroads over and over and over again, you start to reach that decision fatigue. And then one thing leads to another. You make the poor decision one time and then a poor decision another time. You miss a workout, then you mess up your diet, and then everything just falls apart, right? And then you have to start from zero. And everybody knows it's like a train, right? It takes a lot of energy to actually get it up to speed. But once it's up to speed, it's really easy to maintain. But you stop it again, and then it's really hard to get that momentum going, right? It's all about momentum. So some ways that you can actually add some predetermined choices into your life is, for example, the alarm clock scenario I used. Another one is by downloading certain apps or deleting certain apps. So for example, deleting Instagram if you're not doing any business on it, or deleting YouTube, or making a brand new YouTube account where you only follow a couple of people. Or there are also some other great apps that are specifically for blocking out things. Like, for example, there's one for YouTube. I forget what it's called right now. I'll actually leave it on screen or leave it down in the comments or something. But essentially what it does is when you open up your YouTube, it makes it so that it's completely blank. You can only use the search bar. That way, whenever you go on YouTube to search something, you're only going to find that one thing. Then you can turn off all the suggested videos on the side when you're watching a video. I mean, it's amazing, right? You also have adult website blockers, things like these. Now, there are things in your life that you know are like poor or bad habits. The best way to get rid of them is to figure out how to make it predetermined. You eat junk food, don't keep junk food in the house. Things like that, right? Those are multiple examples, but you can use a little bit of brain power to essentially implement this into everything that you do. And if you can't make the decision impossible, you should make it as hard as possible. So for example, sure, if you don't keep junk food in the house, you could obviously order Uber Eats or go out to the grocery store, but you can make it as hard as possible. Delete Uber Eats off your phone. Make sure that, I don't know, if you're driving home from work and you're driving past McDonald's every time on your way home, man, take a different route. Like literally take a different route if you need to. That is how deep it goes. Like this is huge. I went over a few things here, right? I went over some mental models, and I also went over just some overall lessons on wealth, right? Both very important things that you can actually get into. Now, what I want to get into is I want to get a little bit more focused here and talk about actual business and actual business models and where you should go after this video if you want to start. Because there are many choices and there are many paths. And this video that I'm recording right now is a little bit more broader than my other videos. My other videos are very specific ways on how to make money and how to do complete each and every step on how to make money. This one is more for the people who are just beginning or need to see the bigger picture while they're going. So now we're going to go into picking the best business models, what the best business models are, what determines the best business models, and which business models to avoid. So what is the perfect business model, right? There are a few things that make them up. The first thing that I want to talk about is a transferable business model. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. I was in the military for 5 years. Right? From 16 to 21, something like that, 4 or 5 years. And I learned a lot of stuff. I learned everything about weapons. I learned a lot of weapons. I shot a lot of guns. I even did a foreign weapons shoot. It was awesome. I learned a lot about discipline. I learned a lot about just enemy movements, attacking, advancing, defensive positions, offensive positions. I learned about all of it. But there were people who were in the military for their whole lives. I'm talking about 10, 15 years. And they were making decent money, probably 80, 90, not even 100K, probably 80K, 70, 80K a month, 70, 80K a year. And there was nothing else for them in the world to do. Like they could switch military trades, but if you're going to go out of the military, it's like, what are you going to do with that resume? You had 15 years in the Army. But where are you going to use it anywhere else? The problem is that it's not a transferable skill. That's why when people are in the Army for 5, 10, 15 years. They stay there for life, right? Of course, that works for some people, but that wasn't going to work for me, which is why I knew I had to get out. Had to get out and get some other transferable skills in here, right? So this down here essentially is you with a wheelbarrow, okay? And this is snow. Imagine that there's snow everywhere, all on the ground. And you are trying to get from place to place, okay? Now, it's much easier to go over a path that's already been gone down, right? It's kind of like sledding. When you first start, the snow is very, very fluffy. So you have to go once and pack it all down. And then the second time you go, it's easier. The third time you go, it's easier. Then after you've been going all day, you essentially have this slick, smooth, hard snow that you can just slide down, right? And that's essentially how it's like with your wheelbarrow too. So over here on the left and right, you have your failed goals, okay? So here's an example from my own life. This is funny. My very first YouTube channel was when I was 13 years old. Yeah, 13 years old. That's how long I've been trying to be a YouTuber or make money online or whatever. And I would make a Call of Duty montage video, like phase clan and stuff. 360 no scoping and all that stuff. If you had to be there, okay? If you know, you know. If you don't, just whatever. I basically had to learn editing software at 13, and that was my goal. But when I first started my current YouTube channel, the one that you're watching right now with over 100,000 subscribers as of creating this video, I had to edit my own videos. And the only reason I know how to do that was because I worked on it as a kid, right? As literally a kid. So my goal was to become a YouTuber or whatever, right? Now, technically that was a failed goal, but still, because I made that path, I was able to reach my other goal much quicker. I was able to reach this goal, the goal of me creating this current YouTube channel. And the same is with any business. So here's the thing, right? Let's say you're doing day trading, right? You're day trading stocks, for example. That gives you basically no skills. You don't really have any skills other than kind of knowing how stocks and stock markets work. You know a bit about market cap, and you know a bit about like some trading patterns, but that's it. I mean, if trading doesn't work out, right, or whatever, you decide not to do it in the long term, what can you really pivot to that you're going to have an unfair advantage in already? And I'll give it to you on a bigger scale, right? You shouldn't start a business that you don't already have an unfair advantage in after you've built your first one. So, for example, let's say you're a business influencer. Let's say you're Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee has a huge audience. Gary Vee could come up with a number of adjacent businesses. Let's say he comes out with a clothing brand, right? Clothing brand, a Gary Vee brand. He's going to have a huge advantage over somebody who's just beginning and doesn't have an audience at all anymore because, again, he has an audience. So he now has an unfair advantage. So you have to figure out, okay, what business model can I get in where even if I fail, even if I pivot, even if I whatever, I'm still going to have an unfair advantage in. There are some things like that. Like for me, right? I tried to be a video editor for a while. I was into video editing. I mean, I tried a lot of stuff, right? I learned a lot of skills along the way. Video editing, graphic design. I also wanted to be a producer for a bit. So I'm big into tech. And also another skill that it taught me was resourcefulness. When I was 13, bro, a Sony Vegas was like $600, right? Which was completely out of the question. So I learned how to crack it. I learned how to get it for free. Sure, I downloaded a whole bunch of bugs and spam and malware, but I learned how to do it, right? Just staying on your path is going to teach you those things that are going to be those transferable skills, but you want to look for the business model with the most transferable skills, okay? And we're going to speak about a little bit more about what those are. So here are the most common business models, right? These are called the core four: e-commerce, investing, entertaining, and service. Okay, so e-commerce, this is your drop shipping. This is your Amazon FBA, all right? Investing, this is your long-term investing. This is your crypto. This is your day trading. This is your swing trading, all right? If you don't know what some of those are, the differences between them, we're going to get into it a little bit more specifically as we go on. But next is entertainment, right? Content creator or something like this. Next is the service industry. These are things like social media marketing agencies. These are things like freelance copywriting. These are things like, what are some other services? Video editing, graphic design, right? These are services. Now, some services, not all services are made equally. Same with all the ones inside of here, but this is your main scope. Okay, this is your main scope. Maybe you've tried to make money online before. Maybe you've tried one of these. I know me personally, I first tried with entertainment, making that YouTube video when I was, or YouTube videos when I was 13. Next was investing. I tried to become like, I really wanted to become like an investor. Like I got really into learning about stocks and investing and swing trading and stuff like that. And then next I kind of went over to e-com. I tried to do some like affiliate marketing type stuff. And then I ended up in service, right? So I've had my experience, a little bit of experience in all of these. So how do we pick the best business model? So when it comes to business models, people often ask, well, I want to do what's best. I want to do what's easiest. I want to do what's fastest. I want to do what's going to make me the most money. So there's a few things, right? A few things to note here. First of all, understand that your business model doesn't have to be $1 million business idea. It really does not. And this is where so many people get caught up, is because they think that the first business that they start has to be $1 million business. It doesn't. The first business I started made me $10K a month, right? Which is what this whole free course is about, $10K a month. And then eventually I built a $1 million business adjacent to that, because my first business gave me those transferable skills. See, a lot of people get caught up, or they get very, very interested in things like e-commerce and SMMA, because they see, oh, this dude's a 7-figure agency owner. This dude's making $1 million, $10 million with his e-com, whatever. It's like, yeah, you can, but don't knock the other business models, like the freelance models, just because you don't make money. Just because you're not going to make as much money doing it in that specific model. Okay. Remember, goals are essentially, you reach a goal and then you set a new goal. You reach a goal and you set a new goal. We're not skipping steps here. We're taking it step by step by step. We're going through all the steps quickly. So here's essentially the perfect business model funnel. First of all, we got to find ones that are viable. So there are business models that I would tell you not to go into. Like if you're going to start a flip phone company and you say, I'm going to compete with Apple and Android, but I'm only going to make flip phones that are in the early 2000s style. That's a stupid business model. You're gonna literally be pushing a boulder up a hill, proverbially, and it's going to be next to impossible. That's just dumb. It's just stupid. Why would you start that? You're giving yourself handicaps, essentially. There are plenty of viable business models. The criteria for viable business models is, are people making money with it already? And how clear is the path to the actual money? Okay, that's basically it. And it doesn't really have to be that specific. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that e-commerce is the best, SMMA is the best, freelancing is the best. We have to figure it out for ourselves. But these are all essentially viable. Okay, they are possible. There are people making money with dropshipping every day, with investing every day, with entertainment every day, with service every day. But we have to find the best one for us. There's not the best one in general. There's the best one for us. Let me ask you a question. What is the best exercise? What is the best exercise? There is none, right? That question, it begs more questions. Like, what are you trying to do? What are your goals? Are you trying to build muscle? Are you trying to lose weight? What muscle are you trying to build? Are you trying to do full body exercises? Like, there's so many. It doesn't make sense. What's the best vehicle? What's the best car? Well, some might say, oh, well, Lamborghini is the best. If Lamborghini is the best, what if I need to move a mattress? Am I going to move a king-size mattress on a Lamborghini? It's not likely. In that situation, a truck would be better, or taking it off-road, right? So it depends on what you're doing, on who you are, what you're doing. So, and that's where the other parts of the funnel come into play. So it has to be viable. Next, it should be exciting. It should be exciting to you. You should hear about it and be like, I'm excited for this, right? It should bring out an emotion in you. That's why I really don't like when people ask me, Tyson, what did you do to make all the money, right? Or how did you start? And I say exactly how I started, but people only go into it because I said that it worked for me. And they're like, it worked for him, it must be the best, I'm going to do it anyways. And they don't even know what it is. So here's the thing. It's kind of like with investing, right? Sometimes people who win with crypto or Bitcoin or a certain stock, they're like, hey, how can I convince my friends to invest in this stock too? Or invest in crypto too? And that is the wrong way to go about it. That's the opposite of what you want to do. The reason why is because if you get people to invest in something that they don't believe in themselves, when it gets hard or when it gets difficult, they're going to call it quits and they're going to blame you, right? So Bitcoin, for example, is very volatile. If you tell somebody to invest in Bitcoin, they're going to make a ton of money over the long term. Over the short term, they might lose money. They might see their investment go down by 25%, take their money out because they don't want it to go down to 50%, and then it shoots up 100%. And then they're saying, you're a dummy. They're blaming it on you because they took the money out too early and lost money. When in reality, if they would have believed in it themselves, they would have made money. Understand? So you need to go and find things and research things that you believe in yourself, the things that make the most money make the most sense to you. Next is things that do well with your personality. Do you want to be a remote closer? Do you want to sit on Zoom calls all day selling to people? Are you an outgoing person that likes to speak? You like to make money by, speaking and talking. You can see yourself doing it. Or are you more of a guy behind the scenes? You don't want to build an audience, right, with like thousands of followers. You don't want to be the face of the business or the face of the brand. Maybe you want to be behind the scenes and be more of a growth person for other businesses, right? That's like SMMA or copywriting. And then you essentially pick, right? And whatever you pick is the perfect one. Now, it's very, very interesting. And it's very, very important. This is where people come down to analysis paralysis, right? It should literally, you should be able to pick a business model by the end of today. And you should commit to that. No thinking about it and trying to find yourself and asking your spirit animals or whatever. It's stupid. Pick one. Do this and pick one. That's it. That's all. That's all you need to do. When you're sitting around thinking about it, you're trying things, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to try these 2 things, these 3 things at once. I'm going to whatever. Garbage. You have to be decisive. A huge part of success is just being decisive. Picking something, even though it might not be the right thing. Here's a mental model that I'd like to share with you is that a lot of the times it's not about choosing the right thing. Sometimes it can be about picking the right mistake. I've made tons of mistakes in business, but they were the right mistakes because they led me to the right place to be. So you don't have to be right just off the bat. I get that you want to be, but you don't have to be. I was not right in my first 10 try to make money online methods. Literally. I was never right for around 10 years, 10 years. And then I was right once. And then it changed my life. And that's how it can be for you. Next, it's time to build out your action plan. So your action plan for this video, right, is to start researching things and start picking out your business models that you want to pursue and what you want to start, okay? You have to pick, you have to be decisive, and you have to take action. You have to work on yourself and also work on the business model. So here are the following steps which you should complete in order. First and foremost, you're going to want to bookmark this video by leaving a like or commenting on it, okay? The thing is that, yes, you watched the video, you probably took notes, but it will help you to go through and watch it again or watch it again in the future. Give it 15 days, give it whatever, a month, 2 months, 3 months, and come back to this and see what you missed. Because oftentimes, we don't actually understand lessons until we're actually in the game and then we're playing. And then we go back and watch something again and we find something that we missed that makes sense to us now that wasn't able to make sense to us prior. Next is to ask any and all questions below in the comment section. Remember, I want this to be a message board of essentially value. Me giving value to all you guys and answering all of your questions. Next is to watch the videos that are on screen next. I have a video up there about a free full 4-hour copywriting course that you can watch. That's just like this one. That will show you how to become a copywriter if that's what you want to go through. There's also a video up there on business models and the best path to actually get to your first 10K a month, right? It's more specific than this video. And okay, all resources, including this slideshow, will be available for free in the link in the description. That's all for today. And of course, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.